What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Hacksaw Ridge, directed by Mel Gibson, starring Andrew Garfield. Hacksaw Ridge tells the story of veteran Desmond Dawes, who was a medic during World War II, specifically during the Battle of Okinawa, and he was known for being a pacifist, somebody who wouldn't use a gun for religious reasons. And he ended up winning the Congressional Medal of Honor for courageousness, because even though the man had no weapon during war, he managed to save 75 people during his time in the service, which is admirable, and for the real life person, a tremendous amount of respect for the odds he went against. So let's talk about this movie, and I'm gonna tell you what I thought about it. I thought Hacksaw Ridge was excellent. When Mel Gibson is on fire, the man is on fire, and Hacksaw Ridge is one of his best, was one of his final works. Say what you want about Mel Gibson as a human being and pretty much how much of an asshole he is, but as a talent, you can't deny that when this man is on his A game, he is on fire. And Hacksaw Ridge, like I said before, this is Mel Gibson at his absolute best. I thought this movie was excellent. I would rank this right up there with a Saving Private Ryan. That's how good I think Hacksaw Ridge is. Andrew Garfield as Desmond Dawes puts on an excellent performance. I love him in the role. He fits it like a glove. I love the earnest sincerity he brings to the role, and I like how he captured the heroic courageousness of Desmond Dawes, and also captured the religious faith that the man had too, with his refusal to use a gun. And it's explained in this movie that what triggered Desmond to not use a gun is because he had an alcoholic father, who's played by Hugo Weaving, who one night pulled a gun on his mother. So Desmond attacked his father and pulled the gun on him, and this is what caused Desmond to pretty much renounce using any type of firearm. And it's a very emotional, intense scene too. And Hugo Weaving plays the father, like I said before, and he is also really good in this movie as well. Hugo Weaving, such a talented actor when you give him the right stuff. Supporting role, but it's a memorable role as the father. And I do like the mutual bond that develops between the father and son characters, specifically right before the son gets shipped off to Okinawa, which I thought was actually really, really good and not hokey at all. Vince Vaughn is also in this movie as well, and I think Vince Vaughn in this movie was actually really, really good. He's very, very funny in a lot of sense, but when you get to the Okinawa scenes, it's intense, it's brutal, and Vince Vaughn is like a switch, becomes serious, but also maintains that humor that he has as well, without it being cringe or being out of place. A great performance by Vince Vaughn. Sam Worthington's in this film as well. I thought he did fine in his role too. Teresa Palmer plays the love interest, and I like the budding romance between Dawes and his wife Dorothy. I think it's very sincere. I think it's very touching in a way, and it works for me. It works for me, and I like how Mel Gibson took his time with this movie. The first hour of this movie is setting up all these characters who are eventually going to go to Okinawa. We get to see especially the major ones, particularly the character called Smitty, who has a grudge against Dawes because Dawes refuses to shoot a firearm. So in Smitty's eyes, that means he's a coward, and they just constantly haze this man. But it's not till you get to Okinawa where Smitty, who's close to dying, is saved by Dawes, who takes down one of the Japanese soldiers, allowing Smitty to get the kill. And that's where Smitty and Dawes start to form a mutual bond, a mutual respect, and an almost friendship between the two, which I thought was really well handled, and I really like it a lot. Now, I keep mentioning the Okinawa scenes, so I'm just going to talk about it. The Okinawa scenes in this movie comes in the last half of this movie, and it is just brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Mel Gibson does not shy away with the ultra violence that you see. The amount of carnage that happens in this movie is just astounding. Limbs being blown off. Just the amount of blood and gore that you see during World War II. And World War II was known as one of the worst wars in America, in just the history of the world. It was a violent, brutal war. And Mel Gibson captures that. And he doesn't make it into a joke. He doesn't turn it into a comedy act or an action sequence. He turns it into something that's almost documentary style, because that first initial fight, there's no music whatsoever. There's just shooting, screaming, explosions, and it just has a really real, raw just dirty grittiness to it, and I love it. It's a nice authenticity, and you just see the fear in the eyes of not only Desmond Doss but everyone around him, as what is happening to them. And Mel Gibson, again, to me, captured that perfectly. So yeah, from a story standpoint, this movie is great. It's never boring. It's never boring. It's really really good, really well handled. You have tremendous actors who bring this movie to life, who bring these characters to life, who make you feel, and who make you like these characters. You like these characters, and the characters that you're meant to hate and to eventually like, you end up hating and then liking them later. And I give all the credit to Mel Gibson as a director. He did a great job at letting his actors just explore. I love the production value of this movie as well. I'm a sucker for period piece movies, and Mel Gibson, to me, he captured the period of the late 30s, early 40s with this movie. It looks fantastic. The action sequences, like I said, they're all brilliantly done. They're just, like I said, they're very gritty, they're very real, and they're very raw. Mel Gibson is just really good at showing that just raw intensity and just spear when it comes to his action sequences, and I love it, love it, love it, love it. So yeah, obviously there's a lot more to talk about Hacksaw Ridge, but those are just my main points about the movie. Overall, I think Hacksaw Ridge is brilliant. It's one of Mel Gibson's best movies in a very, very long time, and I am proud to give it a solid, perfect 10. I highly recommend this movie. I rank it right up there with a Saving Private Ryan. That's how good it is. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.